I actually made my board read the book, The End of Membership as You Know It. And I've used a lot of those books and guides to help them understand that if we continue to, I used to use the term be our grandfather's chamber. Maybe to some, it's a great grandfather. Not that they didn't do wonderful things, but we wouldn't remain relevant in our community. There's a lot more competition. There's a lot more ability to do things digitally. So by being able to stand out as a organization who's been around for 59 years, I think always looking ahead, how can we do something differently? So we eliminated a majority of our events and we really focus on some key leadership, HR training that's connected to workforce development, childcare, housing study. So we're investing in a different way for the long term of our community and our employers in our area.
This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Today's guest is a seasoned leader in the Chamber and Association management with more than 25 years of experience advancing economic development and community collaboration. Linda Parsons has served as president and CEO of the Moore County Chamber of Commerce since 2014. Under her leadership, the Chamber has been nationally recognized as a 4-star accreditation from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and twice named as a runner-up for the National Chamber of the Year. In 2025, it was honored by her peers as the North Carolina Chamber Executive of the Year, testament to her impact across workforce development, business advocacy, and strategic planning. Her leadership extends far beyond her role as she actively serves on a wide range of local and state boards focused on education, healthcare, childcare, and economic growth. Before relocating to North Carolina, Linda gained valuable public policy experience with the Ohio Chamber of Commerce and served under 2 Ohio governors as a state and local government commission. She holds a degree in politics and government from Ohio Wesleyan University and is a CCE and a graduate from the U.S. Chamber's Institute for Organization Management. Please welcome to the show, Linda Parsons. Linda, I'm excited to have you with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast. I'd love to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the chamber champions who are out there listening and to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Well, Brandon, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. It's always great to connect with our chamber colleagues across the country. So, a little bit about myself. I think you asked for an interesting fact, and a lot of
That's
people
right.
do not recognize that I am artistically inclined. I was a ballerina until I was 18, and I am fluent in piano, violin, and a vocalist. I am a painter and I have thrown pottery throughout the years. Currently not doing that. But so artistically, that's always what's motivated me. And it's what brings me joy when I have the time to do it.
Yeah. I love that. And I wish we would talk more about that just as a society, just the joy that comes from creating things, just expressing your creativity. There's so much goodness that comes from that. So I'm
It's also
glad you're leaning
relaxing.
into it. It is. It is. Yeah. Very good. I love getting those little interesting facts about people. If you would tell us about the Moore County Chamber, just to give us an idea before we dive into our discussion today, help us understand the size, staff, scope of work that you guys are involved with, budget, just to set the stage for our discussion.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So the Moore County Chamber of Commerce is located about an hour south of Raleigh and 2 hours from Charlotte, North Carolina. We are a population of about 110,000 people, one of the fastest growing counties in the state of North Carolina outside of an urban area with a projection to grow 50,000 people by 2050. So it's a lot of growth that is expected. I've also seen figures of another 70,000 residents. So we shall see. We are a tourism-based economy, and we also have a strong healthcare economy. We have currently 620 members with a staff of 3, with just shy of a little over a $500,000 budget. And we are a mighty 3. Between the 3 of us, we have almost 40 years of experience in the chamber industry. All of us have a chamber background, which is extremely rare in the chamber industry.
It is.
I've gotten both of them from seasoned chamber organizations, one in our state, one in the state of Texas. And we work very hard on a variety of issues ranging from workforce development. Childcare is a very strong advocacy area, housing, transportation, leadership training. We have one of the oldest leadership training models in the state. And then, of course, just supporting that general member, whether it's a solopreneur or a large corporation in our area. Golf is heavy. We are the second home to the USGA. They built their second headquarters here in Moore County. And we also are home to the World Golf Hall of Fame. And so if someone is a seasoned golfer, they are probably very familiar with Pinehurst Resort, who is in the process of building another course in our community. So we have about 43 courses within 15 minutes of our community.
Wow. Well, that is a great snapshot, but also painting a picture, like as you do, right, with your creativity, but painting a picture in the mind of what the community looks like, and I'm picturing with these beautiful golf courses and whatnot, just the beauty of the area as well. That definitely does help to set the stage for our discussion today. As we kind of went back and forth a little bit on trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to cover, I see a lot of the things that you guys are doing there in the Moore County Chamber as being very future forward leaning and thinking. So we'll dive into some of that future thinking, as well as some of the more actionable things that you guys have been doing to really take action on those thoughts and vision of what the future looks like. And we'll dive into that as soon as we get back from this quick break.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Rose.
And we're the founders of At My Community, a mobile app that can be customized to meet the unique needs of your Chamber of Commerce.
When we started At My Community, we envisioned a tool that would help communities thrive by simplifying communication and enhancing engagement. Chambers of Commerce face unique challenges, and we're here to help you tackle them.
At My Community helps the Evergreen Area Chamber of Commerce to create an app that keeps tourists informed even when their office is closed. They provide 24/7 access to local business information, which helps support the local economy and community engagement.
In Rocky Mountain House, we helped Rocky Chamber create an app with dynamic itineraries and digital resources for tourists, increasing local business engagement. The app has become an essential tool for the community, promoting events and boosting visibility for local merchants.
Today, we empower more than 200 chambers of commerce, campgrounds, and RV resorts to streamline communication, informing members about events, sharing business updates, and providing a digital hub for the community, all in one convenient app.
When you partner with At My Community, our team works closely with you to create an app that meets your chamber's unique needs. As your community grows, our app evolves with you. We are here to ensure you engage effectively with your members and streamline your operations.
Schedule a demo today at atmycommunity.com.
We can't wait to meet you.
Are you ready to take your organization's funding to the next level? Hi, I'm Clint Neesmith, CEO of Resource Development Group. As a Chamber of Commerce or Economic Development Organization leader, I know you understand the value of working with experts who understand your world. And that's exactly what RDG does best. For over 30 years, RDG has specialized in fundraising for EDOs and chambers. We bring cutting-edge strategies tailored to your organization, whether you're just starting out or gearing up for yet another new funding cycle. Importantly, our firm executives are hands-on from start to finish, from the feasibility study to the successful conclusion of your fundraising campaign, and our team brings deep industry roots and national expertise to every engagement. No matter the size of your community, RDG delivers data-driven, innovative revenue solutions, reinforcing ROI to investors and making sure your vision becomes reality. At RDG, we proudly build organizations that build communities. Visit us today at rdgfundraising.com and let us partner with you, building a stronger future for your organization and the community you are working to grow and develop.
All right, Linda, we're back. as I mentioned before the break, today we're talking about some of these future looking things that you guys are doing there at the Moore County Chamber of Commerce. One of the first things that I wanted to learn more about is I know you guys recently have gone about this a new co-working space in your community and really targeting those people that work from home or those entrepreneurs and individuals like that, businesses like that. So please tell us a little bit more about the co-working space, how that came to be, how it works. I know different chambers have co-working spaces that they've stood up, but they all have their own nuances. So I'd love to hear the approach that you guys have taken and hopefully others listening will learn some things and be able to take some notes as to what they might do in their community as well.
I'd be happy to do that. And I think one of the things that's been very fortunate about our chamber is we have a board that has had progressive thinking throughout the years. They understood that if we remained the same, we would no longer be relevant in our community and for our region. We do serve a 6-county region, meaning we have a lot of traffic that comes into work and a lot of traffic that goes out. And we are also 45 minutes away from the largest military installation outside of the Pentagon. So back in 2014, literally 30 days after I was hired, our building sold. It had been on the market for quite some time. And I was working at the chamber at the time, but I wasn't CEO. And so we sold our building and um, went to a temporary home and really tried to develop what our vision was. And we had heard about a particular business in downtown Southern Pines that was going to be building a building, 3-story building in the historic district. So I approached him and asked if we could go into the building with him together and take the top floor. Fast forward to 2020, we built a building during the pandemic. We started that building in 2019 and finished it in 2020. There was some delays with supplies, but he was very forward thinking as the owner of the building, majority owner of the building, where he had a lot of supplies dropped in before the final roof was put on. So a lot of the people that were having delays, we didn't
Yeah.
necessarily some of those delays we did with appliances. But we went from a 10,000 square foot building that was built in the late 80s and was able to take that investment and turn it around into a 3,500 square foot penthouse suite in the downtown historic district of Southern Pines. It was probably one of the best decisions we've ever made. I literally threw the spaghetti on the wall and said, I think this is what we need to do. And when we do it, we need to open a collaborative workspace. Obviously, not realizing that the entire world was going to shut down in March of 2020. So at that time, the construction had already started and I didn't have the ability to shift the layout, but we moved forward and got creative. So we have a platform where people can drop in and work on a daily basis with a drop-in rate. We have subscriptions, very similar to some of the corporations you see across the country, such as WeWorks, where they can pay to play a couple days a week and a month. And then we have a conference room space that serves as overflow for individual working quietly, not on Zoom calls or other things like that nature. And we have that ability to rent out that space. One of the most popular things for us has been that remote worker who works for Fortune 500 companies across our country and they regularly use our space. They consider it their home. It does help. We're above a bar, but we also serve
Yeah.
adult environments if they so choose, as well as other snacks and coffee. I never thought an espresso machine would be so popular as it is. But one of our biggest users really has become the military component. So we have a lot of groups from the military that use that space, sometimes for transitioning veterans to learn what they need to be doing to acclimate into the civilian world, as well as other training opportunities that they do in our space. And so I would say that is the majority of our user, with the second being our members. And based on their membership, they have that option to use the space. So we have a lot of people that do team meetings, interviews. If someone is opening a new place in town, they have that opportunity to do other interviews if their place is still under construction. It has been a revenue generator. So we were able to eliminate the events that were a burden, shall we say,
Yeah.
a time sucker for the staff. And now we just have to manage a calendar, which is fairly simple because we kind of have a regular users. And from there, it's got a website, it's got a following, and we are regularly booked. And it's been a great investment for the organization and for our community.
Yeah, I love that. I love the again the forward thinking of being able to have that kind of space, and before COVID even hit, and to be able to see where needs are going, and to be able to address that before they even really showed up in mass numbers like they did after the pandemic. I think there's a uniqueness too of being able to serve. So you mentioned the remote workers, but also um, entrepreneurs and startups, and kind of that vibe that comes into it because they're getting associated with the chamber early on in their journey. But I've also I've seen and heard of some co-working spaces that are not connected with the chamber as being almost a chamber in themselves as far as the networking aspects go, and who you meet within that networking space. Do you have any additional thoughts or insights on those points with the either the entrepreneurs and startups, and the networking effect that happens in the co-working space?
It absolutely is true. It is an opportunity for people that are working there to connect with others they may not have in otherwise while sitting in their living room, navigating their children or their barking dog. And so I've actually seen some relationships form where they have now gotten into business together, meaning we have a couple consultants who have been able to do some work with some of our other workers during the holidays when everybody kind of took a break. It was fun to see everybody come back in January. How was your holiday? What are you working on? And we actually have one gentleman who used our space transitioning in his career, not military, but just a career transition. He got his MBA while in the space, was able to connect with one of those military groups, and has now opened a consultant business. So it's fun to see those success stories, as well as the members who use the space as they grow and upsize their business and utilize it for team meetings, and see that growth of those businesses or nonprofits that are using this space.
Yeah. I love those success stories. What's the relationship like with the work with the chamber itself, kind of the space that you guys have within this top floor versus a co-working space? Does it kind of blend into each other? Is there distinct areas for chamber and co-working space, or what does that layout look?
It's a complete blend. So we went with an urban design, meaning open ceilings, lots of metal. We did not shy away from comfortable furniture. We have standing desks. I'll be honest, my board gave us complete discretion. They said, here's your budget, you make it work. And so we have an office in the front that is a collab space with a desk and a standing desk and a round table so people can have meetings. Then our offices are incorporated within the middle, and then there's another office in the back that gives a little more privacy. Again, can seat up to 6 people. And then the conference room space is off of a massive kitchen in what we call the gathering space. So, great example on Friday mornings from 7 in the morning until 9 a.m. We have a group of military veterans that use our space for coffee. And when we come in at 9, they're wrapping up, they clean up our kitchen, they go about their day. They've had their time to have a private coffee, and we're able to jump into our workspace and do what we need. I do have a standing 9 a.m. meeting every Friday. They know that. And even if they stay behind, they respect the fact that we are in our space working and doing our thing, but it gives a good blend. So our
Yeah.
collab users have key fobs. They can come and go as they please. And if we're not there, they have access to the space. They have access to the kitchen, and it works really well. So it's a good blend, and it makes it feel like home. I don't know how else to.
Yeah.
In fact, one of our coworker users used that term this week. It's a place that I call home.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. So I'm curious with the design and building it out, just from the little things, from the scheduling to the key fobs to having the kitchen stocked. And did you guys consult with somebody else who's done this before, or was this dreamed up on your own, amongst the staff and the board, and you guys were like, let's go do this? How did things come together?
So when we initially came up with the concept and got the board approval, A, to move forward with the building, and B, to do the collaborative workspace, we did visit several co-working spaces in our state. Most of them were corporate or other forms of, they weren't connected to a chamber. And so we took some of those ideas, particularly knowing we were going to be above a bar, We even discussed putting taps all the way from the first floor to the third, but we felt that we wouldn't be able to go through a keg fast enough. So then we
Right.
created relationships with local breweries. And so those breweries were able to put in the beer, canned beer, so that the shelf life was a little bit better. And we looked at those spaces from, aesthetics, furniture, comfort, and those things were very important to us. Standing desks are extremely important, but not everybody likes the standing desk. Some people like to sit. Some people like high tops. So we have high top tables. And then we very thoughtfully configured our conference room. If anybody remembers their science days from high school, you had a black top
Yeah.
science lab table with wood legs. We reversed it. We have custom made tables made in the state of North Carolina out of ash wood with black metal legs, all on casters. So the room can be configured in whatever format somebody
Very
wants,
cool.
whether it's a large conference table, they want to do classroom seating for a training session, which obviously worked really well for the chamber when
Yeah.
we hold the session. I've seen it done in pods where people are working as individual teams. And that has been very good. And then the other thing is we went with very top of the line technology. We did not shy away from technology. I talked to our IT guy and I said, I want you to bring in the best IT that you can possibly bring in. If the chamber is encouraging businesses to be on the top of their game as it relates to marketing, IT, and other things, we can't not do the same. So we have a 72-inch television that does direct streaming, have access so that they can do Zoom meetings or other video type teleconferencing. We have mics around the room. We have a second TV in the room because it's kind of an L shape. So you can have a private session in the other part of the.
Okay.
We have the same technology in the other offices, and we're not shying away from updating it. With some of our military folks who have some more restrictions in reference to how they access technology, we've been working with them as well so that they can still access due to their firewalls and be able to utilize the space. So we didn't shy away from the technology. And when we had our full budget, that was something that we fully thought about. Plus, we have TVs in the lobby. So if they need to stream something while they're in the kitchen using space or highlight a sponsor, whatever their program is, they can do this thing. As it relates to the key fobs, it's part of our security system. Probably the biggest challenge is if we lose internet and power,
Oh,
that's a problem. But we can work around it, and we have. But technology's great, but you can't control Mother Nature. Um, a couple of years ago, unfortunately, Moore County had a massive power outage that was done by a human, not by Mother Nature. And so we could not access our space because the county was out of power for 7 days. I was the
oh,
only one with a computer, but all of our collab users completely understood because they couldn't work either.
right.
Believe it didn't make the national news, and it's unfortunate that someone chose to do that to our entire power grid. But those were good lessons to learn. How do we overcome that? And we
Mhm.
put in some other parameters so that we can get into our space. But sometimes you just can't control technology. So it's
Yeah.
great, but Mother Nature, or unfortunately, some people have other plans, and you just have to work around them. And we've got great people. We understand it.
Yeah. So there's been a few different times and ways that you've mentioned the forward thinking of the board and of your staff. It sounds like historically, at least in recent years, there's been a very forward thinking board for your chamber. What are a few other examples maybe of looking to the future and planning ahead and not getting caught, with the unexpected with what the future presents?
I think I've been very fortunate in my tenure as president to have a board that understands that the three of us do have chamber experience, and we look thoughtfully at studies, whether it's ACCE studies, whether it's our own studies that we're doing, and monitoring our membership trends, things of that nature. And so we bring things to the board and we make our recommendations on not what's happening today. You're always going to have these events are happening or this program is occurring. We are always moving 5 years ahead. So, a great example, back in 2014, I actually made my board read the book The End of Membership as You Know It. And I've used a lot of those books and guides to help them understand that if we continue to, I used to use the term be our grandfather's chamber, maybe to some it's a great grandfather. Not that they didn't do wonderful things, but we wouldn't remain relevant in our community. There's a lot more competition. There's a lot more ability to do things digitally. There's just a lot of competition, and so by being able to stand out as a organization who's been around for 59 years, I think always looking ahead, how can we do something differently? So we eliminated a majority of our events, and we really focus on some key leadership, HR training that's connected to workforce development, childcare, housing study. So we're investing in a different way for the long term of a community and our employers in our area, whether they're a nonprofit, a small business, a large business. And it's been really good. I think that members, we still do networking. You're always going to have a little bit of networking. It's a critical piece, but sometimes you can remind them you can network differently. You can network digitally, even through our own organization. You can connect with a military person and help them as they develop their resume and transition into the civilian life. And so we've been really fortunate to have that board who really hasn't stopped us from trying something. Have we had failures? Absolutely. And I think those failures
I'd hope so. Otherwise, that means you're not taking any risk, right?
exactly. And I love to take risk, calculated risk.
Yeah.
The building was probably one of my biggest calculated risks. That's a pretty big risk.
Yeah.
But I know that if it is a beautiful building, it is set in a beautiful place, and a lot of people think it's a historic building. To me, that is a win.
Yeah, that is really cool.
I had someone recently come in, they're like, "So how old is this building?" And I'm like, 5 years?
But with the spirit of 100, right?
Exactly. I think, analyzing what programs are successful in a chamber. What does the chamber industry look like in 5, 10 years? What are trends that we're seeing? For example, AI. We know AI is an important trend. So we're in the process of developing a curriculum in partnership with our local community college to help our business community navigate AI to their benefit and learn it so that they're doing things safely and that they're doing things that are going to be helpful to their business as they continue to right size their business. We've held a session last fall. We sold out in 7 days, and we did it in our own respective conference room. And we've had a request to have it again. And so it's been great to see that excitement. And the people that were in that room for that program were not traditionally attending events. And so I
Yeah.
think you can't just do one size fits all. Our chamber is not a one size fits all. We like to cater things to the members' needs, whether they're small, medium, or large.
I love that. So as you're giving that response, my mind's racing with all these different things. But like you had mentioned, networking is always going to be some aspect of the chamber and paying attention to tools that are coming. I recently did an episode with the founder of an app called Chamber, but with a Y. So CHAYMBER. And it's all about being able to network digitally, or you meet somebody in person, but then you connect it digitally and continue to build that relationship and that networking. And there's great tools and resources available that we just need to be aware. And like you mentioned, AI and being able to stay on the forefront of some of these things and introduce them to your membership and help them gain the confidence to use some of these new tools, because change can be scary, right? I mean, just human nature. Like if you wanted to survive, you don't change, right? So being able to help hold their hand through some of this change is so important. But being from Ohio, you may be familiar with Matt Appenzeller, Southern Ohio Chamber Alliance, but he's made the distinction between with chambers being either a lamppost where you're shining a little bit of light on a portion of town square, or being a lighthouse where you're shining the light of where the direction needs to go, really, um, bringing people along to where you see things are going and guiding them that way. And that's what I see you guys doing there at the Moore County Chambers, being more of a lighthouse and really shining that light, saying this is where things are going, come along with us because this is where the future is bright.
We talked a little bit about in the beginning about my artistic background. I've always said that sometimes a chamber is kind of like a conductor
Yeah.
of a symphony. We may not always have the answer, but we can connect and collaborate with different organizations or people to help make our businesses and our local economies be successful. I may not always have that answer, but I can connect a business to our local school system. I can connect them to the college. When everybody was saying, what are we going to do? Everybody's leaving the workplace. I need employees. I need more students to go into this career path. Okay, well, let's start a workforce development collaborative task force so that we can work in partnership instead of all working in silos. A lot of times that's what happens in communities. Everybody's working on something, but they're not talking to each other. Okay, well, it's not going to be successful if you're not talking to each other, being direct and open. And events will always have their place. Training will always have its place. But our world is changing and we've got to change with it to continue to remain relevant to our members, otherwise known as investors, who are investing in us and our community.
That's right. I love that. Well, Linda, as we begin to wrap things up, I wanted to ask on behalf of the listener who is striving to take their organization up to the next level, what kind of tip or action item might you share with them as they strive to accomplish that goal?
I do think reading the book, End of Membership as You Know It, is a really good idea. And I really think taking a pause and stepping back and doing an analysis of everything that you're doing. What is successful? How much time are you putting into it? The people time does cost you money. And if you're doing
Mhm.
an event to turn around to doing another event to pay for that event, is that really the most cost effective thing for your organization and the members that you serve? Sometimes taking that pause is scary, but by doing an analysis of everything that you're doing, it helps you move forward. While we did that back in 2017, we actually had a discussion yesterday that we're going to be doing it as a team discussion again so that we're prepared for this next 10 years and are able to continue to serve that investor of our community. So I do think that's important. I also think if you're really new in the career, find a mentor, find somebody an organization and a person that you can regularly check in with. Being at the top is lonely. It's a lonely place to be and one of the most exciting places to be, but it can be scary. Taking those
Yeah.
risks is scary at times. And so being able to talk through those things with somebody, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, the idea of looking 10 years into the future and trying to plan and work towards that before too long, you have a 10-year plan, but you probably have to readdress it on an annual basis and see, are we still on track? And I had heard a recent interview of Elon Musk, and somebody was asking him about how he sees the future. And this is the man who's literally building the future, right? With
Correct.
self-driving cars and robots and putting people on Mars. And he gave a great forecast of in the next 1 to 3 years, but himself he said 10 years, I have no idea. I have no idea what the future looks like in 10 years. And I think it's good to have a plan, but we need to constantly make sure we're still on course with that plan, that we're going in the right direction.
Absolutely, because you never know what curveball, such as COVID, which a lot of people got thrown at, nobody knew that was coming, and you had to pivot, and you have to be able to pivot quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Linda, I feel like this whole episode we've been talking about the future of chambers, but I'm going to ask the formal question that I always ask towards the end of an episode, which is, how do you see the future of chambers and their purpose going forward?
I think we are at a great place to really excel our communities forward. Kind of looking at that road where you have two choices to go. Chambers have the opportunity to really pull their communities and help them in the areas of workforce development and bring employees to their employers, whether it is cultivating that relationship as young as kindergarten to others who are maybe second chance individuals looking for employment, veterans. The opportunity is there. And I think the chambers that embrace that and start working as collaborative units in their communities are going to excel and be extremely successful.
Yeah, I love that. And that visual again, that road. I think Alice in Wonderland, right?
Mhm.
She comes to the fork in the road and she asks, which way do I go? Right. And the Cheshire
She
Cat
does.
says, it depends on where you want to go. and
And every
you got to know
community
where you're
is
headed.
unique. Every
Yeah,
community has its place. Every community isn't the same. And yes, we borrow things from communities, but you have to look at your own community and what does that future hold?
exactly. Well, this has been a fun discussion. I'm grateful to have had you on the show. I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who may want to reach out and connect with you and learn more, maybe about the co working space or how you guys are navigating the future. What would be the best way for someone to reach out and connect?
So they can contact me directly at the chamber, 910-692-3926. If they want to see a little bit about our space, they can visit thirdfloorcollab.com. And if they want to visit learn a little more about the chamber, it's moorecountychamber.com. We do get confused with Moore, Oklahoma. In fact, today we had an application for a membership in Moore, Oklahoma. We are not in Moore, Oklahoma. We are in North Carolina. So please be mindful of that. You can find me on LinkedIn as well as my.
Very good. I'll make sure to get those in the show notes and make it easy for people to find and connect with you. But Linda, thank you so much for spending time with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast, sharing your experience and some of these things that you guys are doing to really position your community well for the future and look after those investors that are within your stewardship. I really appreciate you sharing those things with us.
Thank you, Brandon, for the opportunity, and I wish the chamber community all the best.
If you are a chamber professional, be sure to subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast on your favorite podcast app or now on YouTube, so you never miss a new episode. New episodes are released each week and delivered right to you. If you're finding value in the podcast, please take a moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. It really helps others discover the show. And most importantly, share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues in the industry so we can continue to grow and strengthen the chamber community together.
This episode is brought to you by Riverside. If you've ever thought about starting a podcast for your chamber or your business, one of the biggest challenges is recording high-quality audio and video, especially when you and your guest aren't in the same room. Riverside is the platform I use to record every episode of the show. It gives you studio quality audio and video right from your browser, automatically backs up your files, and even creates clips you can use on social media. It's designed to make podcasting simple and professional without the headaches. If you're ready to launch your podcast or upgrade your recordings, head over to chamberchatpodcast.com/riverside to get started today. Again, that's chamberchatpodcast.com/riverside. The same tool I trust to bring you these conversations every week.